Hey guys, and welcome back to another flashlight review. Today we're going to be looking at the Armytek Bear WRG. This is a brand new flashlight from Armytek, and I'm always excited to get a light that's seemingly unique when compared to others in my collection. And I think the Bear WRG definitely fits into that category. And there's a whole bunch of lights, some of you might know some of them these days, that have this tricolor design, tricolor functionality. They're normally used for spotting animals, hunting purposes, that kind of thing, but they're often large and clunky due to their zoom internal mechanisms that rotate different LEDs in place. But the Bear WRG utilizes a more compact design, as you can see, and it's also got this unique mechanical switch here on the side that allows you to switch between modes. So let's have a look at what you get in the box. So obviously you get the Bear WRG itself, and you also get a 21700 cell. This is a Armytek branded cell. It probably is just a rewrapped Samsung, and yeah, 5000 milliamp hours, which is probably the highest that you can get out there right now. And there are also a few other accessories. So you get this little cone thing here, which I was wondering what it was, but it's basically a light diffuser, and it's meant to be carried like this. So you can pocket the light and still use it. You can still use the switches on the side, turn the light on and off, that kind of thing. I haven't got the back screwed in properly, but basically like that. Okay, and that also goes on the front like that as well. I'll demonstrate that a little bit more later. You do also get a little lanyard. Okay, and the lanyard comes with a tiny little ring on the end there. As you can see, that actually attaches to the tail cap, little hole in the tail cap. You get a basic user instruction manual, and to my surprise this time, Armytek have kept things pretty simple in terms of the instructions and the UI, so it's only basically just this one page here. You also get a magnetic charger, so this just sticks onto the back of the light like that, and you plug that into your computer or USB port to charge it. You also get a couple of these spare O-rings and an 18650 spacer that you can pop right in there, and that's pretty much it. In terms of the box, this is what it looks like. So if you want to pause the video, have a look at some of the specifications, that kind of thing, you can do so now. And yeah, you can see these signal light demonstrations there. Everyday carry light 3-in-1, camping light, and in the back there's also some little bit more information, and of course the specifications as well. So here are a bunch of other lights just side by side with the Bear WRG, and here I've got the LED Lenser P6R Core QC. This is a 4-in-1 flashlight, so it's got 4 different LEDs in there. It's also got this zoomable head, and you've got the Spiraz TH4. Reviewed this a while back. Has a bunch of different lights, green, white, red, and infrared. Okay, that you can switch between. Also got a zoomable head. But one thing that you can notice straight away is the size. I mean, this thing is just a lot easier to pocket. You can hold it in your hand really without too much trouble. The LED lens is probably next one up, but again, if you don't have deep pockets, it's going to be a little bit tricky carrying that around. And yeah, good luck with the Spiraz TH4, putting that one in your pocket. So here's a close-up of the Armytek Bear WRG, and as always, excellent quality control from Armytek. There's just no imperfections or rough spots on the machining. And you can see here as well, there's some of these heat dissipation cutouts, some flat spots there on the head, just for the design, I guess. You've also got a crenulated bezel. There's no sharp spots on the bezel. This is more just for telling whether the light is on or off. So you should be fine getting past security checkpoints with this light. And the battery tube, as is pretty usual with Armytek flashlights, has no knurling. So it just has a couple of spots that you can attach a friction ring. But yeah, strangely, Armytek have not included one. And the anodizing feels really grippy, chalky. And some people like it, some people don't. But I think that's a feature that's instantly recognizable about Armytek flashlights. Personally, I really like it. It's probably my favorite finish. I wish other manufacturers used something similar too. And, you know, you can actually use this light when it's completely wet. It has really good grip even when wet. So, yeah, I think for people who are, I guess, more outdoorsy types, you know, this is going to be really good. It's quite tough as well. So if you drop it, you've got 10 meters of drop resistance. Can also be submerged at 10 meters for 5 hours, which is pretty impressive. You know, given I'm not going to submerge most of my flashlights, I just don't have the confidence that it's going to be able to repel that water. But you've got double O-rings on each opening, so yeah, extra water protection. And in terms of the switches, you know, you've got 2 switches here on the side. So you've got that yellow one, but also this interesting one here, this slider switch on the side. And it just moves up and down, as you can see, in order to select the different LED sources. And there are these little colored markers there as well that mark which LED is being selected. Okay, as you move this thing up and down, it's got, you know, very clear points where the LED, where the button just stops. And the second yellow switch here, which is characteristic of Armytek, just basically allows you to change the brightness and the mode. And I do like this stainless steel retaining ring as well. The area underneath the bezel can be unscrewed, okay? And the reason why you'd want to do that is, say, maybe you're out, drop the light in the sand or something like that, and you get sand underneath the switch. You can actually pull that switch out like that, okay? And clean, basically just clean all this area and reinstall the switch. And again, just screw on that retaining ring again. So quite a simple process. Moving on to the tail cap, you can see here there's a magnetic charging port and a lanyard hole as well here. Little lanyard hole. And the great thing is that there is also a spring on both the head and the tail. So really chunky spring. Check that out on the tail there. And that's the spring there in the head, as you can see. Not as chunky, but it does help protect the driver from recoil. If you drop the flashlight, the battery's just not going to plow straight into the driver. You can see the dual O-rings here as well. And it's also important to mention that you can run the Bear WRG with any 21700 or 18650 cell. Alrighty, so looking underneath the bezel, you've got this triple TIR lens configuration. The main white LED is an SFT40, and that takes up mainly, you know, most of the space in the head of this flashlight, just this large lens. There, the green and the red LEDs are kind of just squeezed into the edges, but they don't overlap with the larger TIR lens. And Armytek have also added a glass lens in front of the TIR lens with anti-reflective coating. So I'm really happy they did that. You do see some other flashlights that just leave the plastic there and it gets scratched up, and yeah, not very good for long-term durability. An emitter swap would be pretty straightforward. The bezel can be unscrewed by hand and you can easily pop that lens out, though you will need a little screwdriver just to get some leverage underneath the TIR lens. And yeah, as I was showing you before, that white diffuser attaches pretty easily onto the head, as you can see. Then you can actually switch between the different colored lights like this, just by moving that switch. So yeah, that's cool. I think it turns this into a few different tools. You can use this as an omnidirectional light source to signal for attention. You could use it as a lantern just on the white mode. You can use it as a tent light or a camping light, you know, just to attract attention as well. You can use these sort of blinky modes too. Okay, so I'm going to go through the UI and just show you how the light is used. Okay, so essentially if you want to lock and unlock the light, all you have to do is unscrew the tail cap a quarter of a turn, and the cap has to be screwed in completely to turn on the light. There's no electronic lock in there. To turn on the light, you just press that switch once. Okay, so assuming you're in that red mode, and switching to the different modes is pretty simple. Just that's it, just shift the slider up and down. So if you're in the red mode, that will be the memory mode that you've last used, but you can press and hold, and it's just main 1, main 2, main 3. And from off, if you press and hold, you get a nice little moonlight mode. If you continue holding, you will get the main 1, main 2, main 3. So that's pretty much the same UI for all 3 modes. And the cool thing is that it does have memory mode. So if you've got memory mode on each mode, so if you sound the red mode, you want to leave it on that, and then you want to have like a moonlight mode on the green, it will memorize that. And maybe the super high mode there, well, main 3 on the white, it will memorize that one as well. And I demonstrated this before, but you can double press to get this blinky mode on all modes as well. Okay, and it just outputs maximum brightness for each mode while flashing. Okay, so I ran a bunch of ceiling bounce tests, and this is the first one on main 3, so the highest mode on white. And you can see here, you get about 1 minute of runtime on that main 3 mode before the light steps down, and it steps down to just under 30%. But you can see by the 5-minute mark, or 4 to 5 minute mark, the light starts ramping up again to about 50%. Then drops to about 40% for the remainder of the test. And I ran that test for 30 minutes. And here's the second ceiling bounce test I ran with the white LED on main 2. And you can see it pretty much just maintains that output for the entire duration of the 30-minute test. Here are a bunch of tests I ran with my Opal Lightmaster Pro. And you can see on the white mode, I got 545 meters of throw. That is really impressive for a light of this size. I mean, given that the TIR lens doesn't actually take up the entire real estate of the bezel, it just, takes up maybe, 75% of the bezel. That's quite impressive. CRI on the white mode ranged from 68 to 71, and CCT was on the cool side between 5,900 and 6,500. Also ran a couple of tests, as you can see here on the red and the green mode. Red mode, I got 29 meters of throw, and on the main 3 mode, which is the highest mode, and on green, 60 meters on the main 3 mode. Some considerations to be aware of if you're thinking about getting the Armytek Bear WRG. As you can see, it's got a pretty large head. So, if you're thinking about carrying this thing around in your jeans pocket, it's going to be pretty uncomfortable unless you wear looser fitting jeans that fit better in a jacket pocket, or if you've got, some cargo pants. Even if you've got a clip, you could clip that onto your belt. That might be a bit more comfortable. Thankfully, Armytek also provides this holster that comes with the Bear WRG, so you can stick that on to your belt easily. The second consideration is the proprietary charging. So you're going to need to use this magnetic charger unless you've got an external charger that can charge a 21700 cell. That's what I tend to do anyway. But yeah, that's one of those things you're going to have to put up with. And it's, of course, a little bit more convenient because, you can just carry that around. You don't need to take out the battery at all if you don't want to. But yeah, it does restrict you a little bit when you're out on the road. Third consideration is the red and green beams. They do have minor artifacts on a white wall indoors. Don't really notice it outdoors. But yeah, personally, I wish that they just extended that larger TIR lens to the entire diameter, squeezed in those two small, 2 little reflectors in there or something that overlap on the, the edges of the main lens. I think, because there's some artifacts, some minor artifacts anyway with those two smaller LEDs. It would be good to have little bit extra throw, but yeah, it's not a deal breaker. The fourth consideration is that this light is only going to give you a minute of runtime on the highest mode, so main 3 whites. So that's 1,500 lumens. That's what I measured essentially before it stepped down. And at the moment in Melbourne, Australia, it's pretty hot. When I was doing the test, I think it was around 30 degrees Celsius in my room. So that might have impacted as well. In fact, it probably impacted because there is a temperature sensor in there. So if you're starting it out, in a much colder environment, maybe 5 degrees Celsius or something like that, you're going to probably get a lot more runtime than I did on the main 3 mode. So overall, the Bear WRG is a fantastic little EDC light that's designed for outdoors enthusiasts. That near 550 meter throw will definitely be useful if you're spotting, for long range visibility, while that red and green mode as well is just going to be good if you're doing things like walking, reading a map, anything for short to medium range usage. You're going to be fine. Lots of different modes on there as well, especially that moonlight mode, which I think is so useful at nighttime, so you're not blinding yourself in the middle of the night. And the light diffuser as well. I mean, such a simple thing, and you can hold it onto the light pretty much. It does look a little bit funny on the light, but if you can get past that fact, it actually transforms it into a makeshift lantern or a tool, essentially, just to attract the attention of people, especially, these little blinky modes, this omnidirectional light, essentially. So, yeah, while the head diameter, again, like I said, is a little bit larger than normal for a light of this length, I think you'll still be fine if you're carrying it around in some cargo pants, backpack, or a jacket pocket. But let me know what you think. What do you think of the Bear WRG? Is this something you'd be interested in? If you have questions, just let me know down in the comments and I'll get back to you. There's probably some stuff that I've missed out. If you enjoyed the video or it helped you out, do me a big favor and click the like button. It helps me to get the video out to more people, helps me to grow my channel as well. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep up to date with the latest news, make sure you subscribe. The Armytek Bear WRG, and this is the moonlight mode. On the white mode, you can't really see it, just a little bit in the foreground. Let's pop it into the main 1 mode, and there's a little bit of ambient light, and the sky isn't completely dark, even though it's quite late at the moment. But doing pretty well for that low mode. Well, not the low mode, but the main 1 mode, and here we have the main 2 mode, and that is doing pretty well to reach the back of those trees. I can see the trunks and the shrubs quite easily back there. And look, there's not a whole lot of spill, I have to say. Most of the light is just focused in the center of that beam there. Now, this is the main 3 mode, and I'm noticing a lot more spill. And I mean, look at that brightness, that throw as well. And tonight is a kind of a foggy night here in Melbourne, so it's doing pretty well considering obviously that there is a bit of moisture in the air. I can see it quite easily out here, much more than usual. Okay, so let's just go through those modes again so you can see low, medium, high, low, medium, high, low, medium. So look, the lower modes I would say are still good for the spotting, but for a walking light they're not ideal, because the white beam is more of like a long range beam. So let's switch this over. I'm going to switch it over into the other modes now, and this is the red mode, red 1, red 2, and red 3. So main 3 on the red mode, and as you can see, it's pretty decent amount of spill. large, kind of like a wider beam, the big hotspot, and you can see it's kind of going all the way to those shrubs in the center of the scene. And you know, you can just cycle through those modes as usual, and I mean, it's doing a pretty good job for the red mode. And certainly outdoors, you know, the beam looks a lot nicer than when you've got it on a white wall, which you're never going to do anyway, point at a wall. Now this is the green mode, and it's already started on the high mode, but I keep calling it high, but main 1, main 2, main 3, so you can almost equate it to a low, medium, high. And the green has, I would say, significantly more throw as well as overall light. So you can see this will be a really good short range light to use. Even that moonlight mode, it's pretty bright. I can't really see it on camera. That's the main 1, main 2, main 3. Okay, it's bright enough to even tint the center of that field, which is quite surprising. If they had a larger TIR lens, it probably would throw a lot further. And I'm just going to show you what the light looks like with the diffuser cone attached. Bear WRG, and this is on the moonlight mode. Can't really see much, but here we are on main 1. A short range distance, some rocks there, trees. Main 2, and look, on the second main mode, I'd say there's a decent enough spill to be able to walk around with. It's the highest mode, main 3, and yeah, like a really concentrated hotspot, as you can see. On that first mode, there's really not much spill at all. Okay, I'm going to switch over to the other coloured modes now. So this is the green mode, and let's see what we got. Look, so those are the 3 modes. So main 1, main 2, main 3. Moonlight mode isn't detectable by the camera. Okay, and back to the red mode. This is the highest mode on red. Main 1, main 2, main 3.